Oh, the sad, sad irony of playing the Terran Brood War theme music when it's a ZvP. Feels galactic, man. Intergalactic, even. In the top right side, we have the Red Zerg player. It's soO.
In the bottom left is the Blue Protoss. He is classic.
Yeah, this is the Olimoleague finals. Again, we weren't quite sure whether we'd be able to run the Olimoleague this week because of things like IEM eating up all the time slots, and I guess there just happened to be a singular one-day gap where IEM was taking a break, so it fit in nicely for the Olimoleague. Yep,
that was pretty perfect, and there are still people who have not gone to IEM, so yeah, it fits nicely. But I was gonna say that I bought the blackout drapes finally.
Oh, for your room?
And they might work, I don't know. Well, I only got one set, but to be honest, that's all I really need, because it's not about me waking up to the sun.
Well,
like, I don't actually mind that as much.
But now there's another problem, though, right? Like, before it was the light coming into your room and shining on your face. Now it's your hair, so...
Either way, there's a light source I need to get rid of. Yeah, no. They might work, they might not. I don't know when I'm going to put them up. But I also have started to build my new computer, and by that, I mean I bought the case.
I wonder what actually reflects light more. Your hair or Caldor's head?
Caldor's head.
No. He's bald and shiny. That's the joke.
It's probably my hair, to be honest, if we're really going to be...
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's going to be real deal here. Yeah.
I got the case for my new setup.
Oh, that's cool.
I wanted to see how big it was and if it was okay, I guess. Because if it was still too big, then maybe I just send it back and do something else. But no, it's nice anyways. Like, the real cut in the size of a smaller case and the depth, I guess. So, yeah, they could actually fit in a suitcase. It could maybe even fit my carry-on. Not that I would actually put it inside a computer in my carry-on, but it'll be easier to lug around. So, anyway.
That's cool.
I'm excited. I'm gonna get all the new fancy gizmos and gadgets.
Don't say it like that. You're so old.
Gizmos and gadgets and other words.
Who's it's and what's it's galore.
There you go. Thank you.
You got thingabobs? I got 20. But I want more.
What movie is that from? And what song does it have in common with StarCraft?
I know you said movie, but I heard booby.
What booby is that from? Well, I personally love the adult version of that song so much more. So.
I personally love boobies, so there you go. Works out nicely for both of us. But soO in Classic, by the way, first off, it was so funny watching soO's other semifinals match. If you guys only just tuned in, you missed it. Like, he won game number 1 against Billowy in 2 minutes and 18 seconds flat. It's pretty gross, but it's clear to me that he's willing to do early pools. It's very interesting, though, that he chose not to open with that in the series, and this brings me back to like that Ting group we had where soO was fighting a little bit weird. He was early pooling against Joxy, but not the other Terran in his group. I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but maybe these are just actually things where he doesn't play map dependent, but it's player dependent.
Whoa.
Although this is maybe not early pool weird, but this is still going to be weird.
Yeah. I agree with your points. I mean, it might have been because it was Proxima Station, which, you know, is even a bit better of a wall-off situation for the Protoss than even Cactus Valley. But yeah, it might just be the player. But really mixing things up, this is one of the benefits that Zerg gets more than other races, I feel, for the whole idea of expanding out as opposed to the regular naturals, that you can trick them. If they don't get a Stargate and scout the third base, they might not see the later third base. They might not see the Nidus Realm all-in coming because they're like, okay, everything's hunky-dory, you have what I suppose is a third on the back, and we're all Gucci. But the Oracle's gonna scout a Roachborn that's moving, but that's not quite suspicious, because he sees, you know, of course, the lair. That could just be Roach speed. And, while the third base is late, it's not totally unheard of. If he hits in a Nidus Room, that's, you know, alarms going on in every which way, but he's not gonna see the Tumbling Claws.
Well, so here's the thing, though, right? Like, if Classic's gonna be casting Revelation as you normally would, this might catch them, and that'd be great. But you're right, like, this could just be a totally out of nowhere attack, and the fact that roaches are already annoying enough to clean up as is, combined with the fact that then you have them move underground, yeah, that's gonna be a huge headache. The whack-a-wall aspect could actually pop up, pick off both these sentries, and then go back underground. But you gotta wonder, like, is his priority on getting something cost-effective, or is his priority on getting some probes? I mean, Classic Is he looking for this? You can actually see it. You can totally see it if you're looking
Oh.
for it, but he might not be looking for it.
His Oracle was flying around a very odd path, almost like it was looking for Overlords to kill, because the Vorder is following it shortly after.
Oh, he has no idea. I was wondering, because his units moved a little bit, but he has no idea this is going to hit.
Yeah, because I thought also with his lack of revelation or use of the Oracle that maybe he was saving it, but he just used both revelations.
Yeah, the problem is, too, that Robo has only just started up, so he's not going to have any reliable detection for a fair bit of time.
Yeah, this is already pretty effective, because soO, of course, did get a third base. You know, this isn't 20 tunneling claws that are going to get cleaned up really easily.
Yeah, what I really like about this, though, this isn't something you went super all in with. Like, you didn't have to cut a bunch of workers to make this happen. You didn't have to early pool. Like, okay, it waylays some tech slightly and gas might be an issue, but realistically, this was a very cost-effective way to get 9 probe kills.
Yeah, it was.
Of course, roaches will regenerate very quickly, so as we see
there's
there
the speed kicking in.
and not easily cleaned up by these units.
Yeah, Revelation does help in this one little aspect. If you can get the Revelation on every unit, that is, so.
Yeah, this is where the old Oracle would have really fallen short on dealing with that. But we got, I guess, a little bit more going on than this. It was cool to watch that happen, but soO very quickly getting to lurkers, not wasting any time with roaches and hydras, and just going to get those heavy-hitting units, heavy duty on the field as soon as possible. And, you know, lurkers only really start falling apart when either there's disruptors or a lot of immortals. Honestly, though, 1 immortal, 2 immortals is totally manageable. And the fact that that Robo came down so late, and I guarantee you soO knows that his opponent's making observers right now. Like, okay, he'll have detection, but can he fight the units that he can see with those observers? Probably not, because he didn't have time to make the immortals.
I mean, soO still needs a couple more minutes, like literally probably 2, to actually finish up the Lurker Den and build enough Lurkers to be aggressive. But yeah, even with 2 minutes, it's only going to be 2 immortals, like you're saying. And Lurkers might just be able to contain him on 3 bases, if not actually push in.
I just got fucking roasted in chat.
Did you?
Has Ripken ever seen a booby? Yeah, he's got 2.
Wow, I didn't even see that.
Fucking got him. I'm not even mad. That's like respect. That was a good
it.
one. That was a good one.
Speaking of chat, they get a Farfik Nugan.
Farfik Nugan, 13 months. But yeah, Lurker's starting up, and we do have the potential of disruptors coming out after this. I really don't know if I'll have time to get enough. It's weird, because the dynamic of this is really you need 2 disruptor shots to kill a Lurker, and the cooldown's too long. Like, you can actually produce more Lurkers in the time it takes that to cool down. I don't know. We'll see. Initially, though, the fight might not be too bad. We got a stasis trap going to go off on Lings, so not that great.
Yeah.
He can start sniping off the observers, too. He's got Hydras and that Overseer.
He pushed off the Hydra upgrades to get the Lurker down a lot faster, so they're not exactly shooting from far away or that fast.
Speed, yeah.
So, the Lurkers ended up getting a couple of shots, but to be honest, that would have been like more devastating with more Hydras with upgrades than with the Lurkers. So his Lurkers, 5 of them are still scary, but you know, 1 more Modal or Disruptor. I guess he can Disruptor right now, and he could actually push through that. So soO backing away is wise for it, I guess.
I agree with backing. That's probably the better course of action right now. But the thing is, like, that army supply is pretty much in soO's favor. I think timing was for a small time as well. Backing up and giving his opponent time to build up that count, though, I don't know about that. Like, this for me, the longer it goes on, I think it's better for Classic than it does necessarily for soO. So yeah, I like this going in now. Gonna try and take that fight. Disruptor might hit some of these units. Gets one of the Ravagers and a Hydra, but the Lurkers left mostly unscathed.
Oh, the observers all died. Oh god.
Feels bad, man.
They picked up so quickly.
Feels really bad, man. The Void Ray's still up too. It's a new. Did you lose the Oracle too? Yeah, because the Oracle went down at some point, so there's literally no detection.
Yeah, he's kind of screwed. He's not even building detection. He just is thinking about things to do, I guess. With only 1 disruptor, it's not really enough to take care of it, and it misses entirely.
The funny irony of this, right, is Classic just came off of winning a game that was entirely determined on his opponent not having detection.
Oh, got him.
2 observers coming out. Of course, this base not going to happen. He tried to take it, but the Lings burrowed. That's going to be really annoying. He blinks on top of the Lurkers, but the Lurkers deal so much damage to the units that blinked on top of him, and that's going to be it. That's all she wrote. There's only Immortals left. Lings and Hydras. He's dancing them around. So he's saying, get out. This is my game. GG.
Brutal.
Damn. That was That was good. That was a good game out of soO. I really like. I didn't just like. I loved the roaches. It's unexpected. Nobody really pulls that move off, and I think that's a big part of why that worked. I think if this is something everybody did and it was like common in the meta, you wouldn't see that work at all.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot, I think, to be said about them knowing each other as friends and as not quite rivals, but they played a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of chit chat in lobby too before you get going. Also, chat people are apologizing for the roast. Dude, I would take it. That was funny. Like that wasn't even like I'm not even upset. That was good. That's the type of shit I love reading in chat. That's why I love Twitch chat. But when it's just like, wow, who's this fucking lesbian casting with zombie grub and shit like that, it's just like those aren't even creative or funny, right? Like it's just dumb.
Sorry, I think I saw that before, but I forgot about it. That was actually kind of funny.
I will say the worst thing, and I hope Joey keeps this in the VOD, some of these YouTube comments we get are so gross. I spend so much of my day actually removing these comments. We had this guy, his YouTube name literally had the phrase redneck in it, so I wasn't surprised. But he was going through all these VODs from recent to like 2 years ago, complaining about all the white players playing the game. I'm like, dude, your name's Redneck. What? Shouldn't you be cheering for the white players playing the game? I don't understand. Your racism doesn't compute with me.
Interesting. Yeah, I hear about YouTubers and people actually who have a big enough YouTube, I guess. Like the comments are always shitty.
Yeah. Well, ours are like a mix. Sometimes we get really great ones. My favorite ones where people actually discuss the game, and I can reply to those comments, and we have like a good discussion. And I actually, for those who don't know, I take the time to do that. So, hey, comment on YouTube. Maybe get a reply from Rifkin. But the point is, we're going to Newkirk, and we'll see you guys here in a second. All right, folks, welcome back to game number 2 in the Olimoleague Finals for this best of 5. In the bottom right, we have the Red Zerg player up 1 game, soO.
In the bottom left was the Blue Protoss. He is classic.
Now this is really cute. Like again, it's cool for me to see. Like that game was maybe the map is what my question mark was going to be, but no 12 pool coming down again. soO not going to be going for these early sort of attacks, and this maybe would have worked out for him, maybe not. But the point is, I like that it's very clear to me now. Like there was guesswork when we saw this with like 1 or 2 different instances, but soO I think plays very much to the player he's playing against and not the race or the map as many players do. And I think that is what gives him so much of his strength. It makes him such a good player.
I agree. It wasn't what I attributed to him in the first place, but this combined with the Jakshi series seems to really prove it.
You know, I gotta get like when Pig's done with IEM, I wanna just like give Pig like a bundle of the Korean ZvPs we've had and a bundle of the foreigner ZvPs we have. And if somebody like super analytical like Pig go over and start dissecting like where exactly everything goes wrong for the foreigners. Because I really, truly just can't believe that Korean Protoss are so bad compared to foreigner Protoss. Because we know, like, there's no doubt in my mind, Nurture's a great player. It's weird to watch him falter so much in this matchup. Then watch things like soO just seem to have no problem with Protoss. He's been fighting Protoss all day, not even just here in the finals.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's certainly been cases in the past. The history of StarCraft, 7 years, has always had those moments where pro players were so sure that it was not a good state of balance, or that, you know, one thing was more OP than the other. And sometimes it was correct. I mean, there were certainly like Swarm Hosts were obnoxious, Preload Infestors were obnoxious. You know, early game Ultras I think were obnoxious. Like, yeah, Mass Adepts were like, there's been points for sure, but there's also been like so many points where it was one person showing the way and how to do things. And they're like, oh, I get it. It was the maps changing, so that really affected it. It was the regions showing the way as well and being like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. But man, if it was as easy as just getting one person to dissect exactly the differences and saying that's the difference, let's do this, then there'd be I think less times where there's been such a difference in opinion. Although, again, we don't really know the Koreans' opinion on ZvP. This is another issue where, like, soO could be saying, like, I'm going to lose all these games unless I cheese you.
But so that's the thing, right? Like, we're talking Korean versus foreigner. I think, like, even a year ago, it's still, like, up in the air. 2 years ago, it was certainly like, well, it doesn't matter because the skill difference is too big. But it's so very obvious now. Like, you've got players like Nurtio, you've got players like Showtime, you know, both on Zerg and the Protoss side of it. Like, you've got Neeb, etc. Like, you've got players that are definitely contenders with the Koreans, and it's no longer that difference of just like automatic dismissing because of the skill levels. you know? So this is like the first year, last year maybe a little bit, but more so this year, I think, where we get to actually look at this and say, like, look, this isn't just because of that skill gap. There might actually be something crazy going on here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I agree. Yeah, like it's different times and whatever. But it's also like, I'm thinking back to 3-Bags Reaper was so fucking imbalanced for the foreigners, but then the Koreans didn't have a problem or were like less likely to commit to it anyway. And sure, there are still problems. Everyone wants to bring up like Guns Reapers and how often they do get these like early wins and blah blah blah. But it wasn't like the complaints coming from a lot of people were just made it sound like it was the only thing you could ever do and you were instantly gonna win. So I think about that sometimes, and that was recent, and just how much the difference of opinion was. And even if someone had like the holy grail of how to deal with it, like how long it took people to actually think maybe it wasn't the only thing to do in the matchup.
That was either super amazing control or really, really good luck out of soO, by the way.
Lucky.
Like, he was in single digits on that Spore Crawler when it got canceled.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah. All that hypothetical aside, I mean, there's certainly a lot of points from everyone, the technical people, the pro gamers themselves, different regions as well. I don't know. There's a lot to be said about StarCraft, and no one has the exact right facts. But this is, for fact, something that can actually kill players. It doesn't look like it's going to do so here. One Oracle already dies, but this can do a lot of damage. 2 Oracles at depths, that is like a lot of DPS, especially if they're focusing on the same target. So if soO didn't have his queens together, you know, and pre-pull his drones, he would have lost a lot more.
Well, I think one of the problems here, though, is regardless of how much this has done so far, it hasn't done enough. Like, Classic is moving towards the 3rd base, and it's not exactly like a dedicated all-in. But soO's going to clean this up. He's going to have +1 links to retaliate with. And frankly, the drone count, okay, 13 died now. It's kind of worth it. But before, when it was only like barely 8 killed, it's kind of hard to justify this damage. But that Void
I
right
agree.
now.
That's ended up being effective. And 2 overloads going down is just even better. So, I mean, he takes care of the links, he takes care of the drones, he even supply blocks soO a little bit, and all this, you know, while he's getting his macro set up. This is actually a really great start for Classic. And in the game, no, but it did end up snowballing a little bit.
Oh, he's got a chance to use on that queen.
soO just tried to, I think, counter with his lings, and unfortunately realized that the 3rd base already has enough units around it.
Yeah, this is why that Void Ray is so important. We're seeing it more and more in every matchup, and sometimes it goes across the map and picks off an Overlord or 2, and that's cool, but it will kill any Overlords in the immediate vicinity, guaranteeing these lings wouldn't be elevated up to the main. And I think that would have been devastating to Classic. Like, there'd just be no defense up here.
Yeah, it's true. No luck anywhere. Banelings are on the way, along with Hydralisk. No quick lurkers this time, but soO is just playing catch-up. Still supply blocked from that earlier Overlord kill, and he's just going to get unsupply blocked. No, not even soon. It's like still on the way. And he's kind of overcompensating by building a lot of Overlords right now.
So speaking of playing catch-up, I know there's a pretty hard line drawn in the sand. A lot of people are determined that you should never put ketchup on hot dogs, right?
Oh my god. I don't understand that, but I know that those people exist, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big ketchup fan. I put ketchup on everything. But the thing I didn't realize recently is there's people who don't put ketchup on their macaroni and cheese.
What? That's the one thing I did know, is that it's super weird.
Wait, really? What? So wait, do you put macaroni or ketchup on your macaroni and cheese or no?
I do, but I know it's weird.
I've never thought it was weird. That's just been a normal thing for me. And, it's so good. I don't know how people can't do it.
I've mentioned it before, and I've always heard people just be like, what? That's so weird. And it's like the same as, it's like cheap stewed tomatoes, which I also love in my mac and cheese. But that's neither here nor there. Classic is pushing way before soO.
So many sentries. There's 10 sentries in this.
Yeah. And they've had some time to gain energy too. They don't really have to help defend anything. A couple banelings get through, but not enough.
Yeah, he takes the time to wrap around and go through like every angle possible to get on top of this. This forces Classic to burn almost all of his force fields, though. Those sentries are pretty much dry. If soO's got anything else coming out, there's going to be like maybe 1 or 2 force fields max left to deal with this.
I mean, this is a combination of that earlier attack for sure, but also soO's supply block was just, it lasted so long and affected him so much later than it actually even happened. It was brutal to watch, but Classic had a really nice game. That was smooth like butter.
It was a good payback for that first game too. That's going to send us to our first commercial break here in the finals, so sit tight guys. 2 minutes coming at you. We'll be back soon with game number 3. All right, folks, we're back. Actually, this was on me. I had some troubles joining that lobby, but looks like we finally got in there. So, Cactus Valley kicking off. Again, we don't have an intro for this one, so we'll just hop into it. Try and get that done soon, I guess. I'm almost done unpacking. So, here's the story of my place right now. I wanted to kind of do like a here's my house video type thing, or give you guys a quick tour, because it's really small, but it's also pretty nice because it's brand new. I'm like, we're the first tenants to live in this apartment type thing, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I am having so much trouble organizing things. It is quite a mess. It's getting better as each day goes by, but it's like I spent so much. Oh man, I'll tell my story in a moment. Top right, going for that early pool, that 12 pool though. It's soO.
I thought that might be the reason he picked Cactus Valley. In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. He is classic.
All right, quickly wrapping up that story, but yeah, I actually had a lot of trouble getting the computer set up for this, guys. The internet wasn't a problem. The internet's the best. I have never had internet this good in my life, and it's still worse than most people out there, so yeah, feel free to brag, etc. But I'm super happy about the setup. It just took a lot longer to get my desk and my PC set up than I expected, so hopefully I can get like a video or tweet something. But anyways, the council on the drone, I don't know if he was intending to do this. This might have just been something that occurred to him like last second, but he ends up going for the 12 pool on this one. And this can work well for a couple different reasons. One is the biggest part of stopping this is scouting it. And 4-player spawn, the likelihood of you being scouted is low. And Classic is actually going to miss scout twice. Bit of an issue. soO's not going to scout right away, sure, but the links should still get over here. Classic is going to go for the Nexus.
Oh, yeah. We still have this kind of awkward situation where neither one scouts each other initially, but it still is going to be soO with the upper hand for the delayed scouting. Funnily enough, the probe, if it took Zelnaga, even if it doesn't, it might still see the Lings. It's so weird.
I mean, the Zealot's already been started. I think he knew something was up. It's a little bit worrisome. Plus, you're playing soO, and this is starting to become a little bit worrisome. We're going like, oh, did Classic just like super metagame? Like he knew what was going on? Like I'm not gonna say blind counter, but it is something that it's gonna be annoying to deal with still.
I'd be surprised if Classic didn't expect this, but it's just funny that the probe got such perfect timing. Is playing with danger, playing with fire a little bit by sending the Zealot out like this. Yeah,
so the probe scout, by the way, may have been the difference of pulling the extra 3 or not. Keep in mind, guys, like you really have to pull a couple of probes if your Zealot wants to fight on its own. When a second Zealot comes out, that's a whole nother situation, and you fight a lot better for it. But this has not worked out so well for soO. At least the last time this happened, it forced a lot more probes to be pulled, so the worker difference wasn't so bad. Classic is sitting on a very nice 22 probe count right now.
Yeah, he is. This is not something that Classic automatically wins with by holding on to this, but it is putting him in a very good position. soO still ended up winning against the against Super, who defended his early pool, but like you said, it was a couple more probes and just worse overall situation. I'm guessing soO knows that he has to make up for a lot here. Classic getting a Twilight Council, Micro President Glaives to just try and punish soO, because if soO's gonna try and get Lings, well, then Resident Glaives do well against them anyways. If he tries to get Banelings really quickly, that's going to be kind of expensive for him. Same for Roaches. And Resident Glaives just come pretty quick. Pretty powerful. We'll see.
Just as a quick note, because I know this question is going to be brought up over time. People want to know who I'm living with. I've talked to her about it. She's not really interested in you guys knowing who she is, so you're never going to see her in camera, and you'll probably not see me tweet or mention it. So ask away. You shall not receive an answer, unfortunately. Respecting the privacy of my roommate.
People might be kind of trying to be creepers. I'd actually be more interested in, like, are you living with another streamer, or are you just living with, like, a friend, which...
Well, I can say this, like, she does cosplay and stuff, so she's had her fair share of creepers, I think is why she's very aware of what I do and the people I interact with.
Yeah, because sometimes, especially for like the bigger streamers, if I hear that they have a housemate, like I actually kind of assume that it's another streamer, even though it's not the case always at all. I just feel like it would sometimes work out.
It would be cool to live with another streamer because you guys could talk about like Twitch and stuff like that. But at the same time, like, what's funny is she's very much a real sports fan, so I'm getting taught things I didn't know about hockey already.
Just kidding. Yeah.
Anyways, enough about that. War Prism comes out of Classic. He's going to be heading across the map, and Resident Enclave's finishing up. We'll see a couple of Adepts get to that main. I don't imagine soO takes too much damage from this. I mean, the thing is, he does have these Lings left over from earlier on. It's a bit weird because they aren't going to have speed. He's not investing in that at all, but it's still something to fight with while the Roaches come out.
But the Roaches are pretty expensive for this game. He only recently got up to a good-looking drone count. It's not even that good-looking. 45 is not really that appealing. It's
So
50 is like
shallow.
kind of okay. I know, right? So the income graph really is telling the story. Even if soO's starting to like kind of edge out now, it's he should be panicking a little bit as he loses maybe a couple of drones here and there, and of course has to just make more units to deal with these Adepts.
Yeah, this Warp In's pretty big. If he could push out that Warp Prism, that would be best, and that's why the Queen's focus firing. But while this was on, he knew there'd be another wave of the Adepts coming down to the south, so he tries to intercept this. I just don't think he's got enough Roaches out, though.
Where do they? Oh, I was like, where do they transfer to? Yeah, they you need a good number of Roaches, and honestly,
18
Lings
workers.
too, to catch them wherever they shade. Otherwise, right, you're gonna lose a lot of workers. And there is that point of not enough damage for the amount of Adepts given, but I don't, I think this is actually pretty good.
So just going back to rewinding all the way to the start of this game, by the way, like the starting of the drone, canceling it into the 12 pool, and having that 12 pool not work out for him at all. I mean, this is for me, like soO is planning something else, but he says, screw it, let's take a chance. Let's gamble a little bit on this 4-player spawn map, right? Obviously
bit,
it didn't pay out, but it's also, for me, so clearly not planned from the get-go. This was like a snap decision he made on the fly.
Yeah, and I want to kind of specify a little bit more too, because the cancel and the egg doesn't actually matter.
Not in the
You
early
get the
game
larva
like
back.
that, yeah.
You get it's like actually the same exact build that early on, but the fact that it wasn't a reaction, like it wasn't like habit to build it and then instant cancel because oops, my habit got me. It was like a little bit later is what I kind of
that
agree.
drone was like 80% complete or something.
Yeah,
too.
I agree that it was kind of like I'm just gonna go with it. So anyway, this is gonna really nice damage. Classic delayed his Nexus like a tiny bit more than I thought he would. Like he warped in a couple more, but it still is almost already done. And didn't he scout the Spire? I mean, he was all up in the main's grill.
Well,
Natural? No, he didn't scout the Spire.
no.
Oh, well.
I guess he's been so much fighting, there's not been a lot of actual scouting, as funny as it is. Like, a lot of that went in the main, right? Not the natural. So, okay. Maybe this is where soO's got a chance to start coming back into this. There's not going to be a lot of really good anti-air. So much of this is going to be focused on things like the Sentries, the Immortals, maybe a couple of Adepts. Well, Blink is coming out, and Classic may eventually have the tools to deal with this. Initially, he might not, and that's the problem. But soO just spent a lot of gas on more Roaches and Ravagers, so he's not exactly going to be making 8 mutas right away.
Yeah, and if it might seem tempting to build even 2 or 3 just to try and get the Warp Prism, that's not going to kill it that fast. Although the Warp Prism is kind of low, it might be worth. It'd be questionable. And it's looking like Classic just has the counter to soO's army here, especially if his force fields are decent, which so far they're fine. Kind of cutting the army in half. I mean, they could have been better up against that hatchery, but it doesn't matter. He's still in the army.
Yeah, he might whittle away some of the Sentries, which is, of course, costly, but Stalkers are going to extend their life by quite a bit. The counter dance!
The revenge.
The counter dance!
He
Oh,
actually
man.
danced him too, man. soO just kind of wiggling him back and forth.
Yeah, so I don't actually know.
knows better.
This is such a silly question, but would you have to type /dance in English, or can you do the Korean equivalent and it would still work?
Pretty sure you can do the Korean equivalent, but I don't know.
Well, one thing's for certain. Classic feeling confident about the way he's got this game, and I would too. He is starting to be pushed back, but he's done a lot of damage through this. They trades out for a lot of the army. He's killed a lot of drones. Let's not forget the gas count. Nowhere close enough to make any mutas. I mean, the dance was silly, but I think it's still going to work out for him. I don't think we'll see that karma.
It'd be funny if he did die, though. But no, I don't think there's a chance either. Like, soO not only needs to be at a higher drone count, he also should have had a 4th by now. So unless 4 mutas really do like an amazing job counterattacking, there's no. I'm pretty sure there's no hope here. There's no Obi-Wan Kenobi here. Oh my god, it's a time warp though.
Yeah, blinking the Stalker's back. I like the control. Takes no damage from those Corsair Biles. At least you can pick up that Immortal. Does save it to the high ground. Oh, nice Warp Prism Micro coming out of Classic here at the end of the game. Big warping coming in. Of course, Roaches just aren't going to cut it. GG. Classic with a 2-1 lead. But that's the big point, guys. It's not a best of 3. It is a best of 5. We got game number 4, which could be the last game coming up next. Small commercial break, though, before that, and we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Thanks for watching the Olimoleague. All right, folks, as said many times here in these finals, it is a best of 5, not a best of 3. So he is winning, nonetheless. In the top left, we've got the Red Protoss Classic. Up 2-1.
In the bottom right is the blue Zerg. He is soO.
So perhaps we spoke too soon, and maybe Zerg versus Protoss is this problem in Korea. But the start of the series did start off really strong for soO, and it's surprising to see it take such a harsh turn on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of brought it up in that Newkirk Precinct game that we don't get to hear the same complaints, or if we do, it's kind of in a joking, semi, correct English kind of way, right? So for all we know, soO could have been saying, I don't think I'm going to win unless I cheese you. And Classic's like, well, I'll be prepared. And that's what they were saying. We have no idea. And if that is the case, then that might be a problem. It might turn out kind of like the PVT thing that's happening in Korea too, which would be kind of cool to see the similarities, where PVT was definitely, I think, still having a problem. Win percentage-wise. But then you had the heroes of Protoss start cheesing the Terrans, and then start getting really good macro games against the Terrans too. So you're kind of like just bowing down before heroes' good grace, and Classic as well. I guess another one of the Protoss that's trying to do that too, where the reliance on cheese has turned into actually like really good games and what looks to be like a more balanced matchup. But that also did technically get a nerf because Liberator's now 3-shot stalkers and all that. But I don't know. More information required. But soO is, regardless of the overall state of the matchup, in a little bit of trouble, as his cheese did not work, and his straight-up macro game also did not work. We'll see what he does here.
Yeah, I mean, I really did like the aggression we saw in that first game. Maybe whatever, because it didn't involve pools and lings, but the roaches may have been unexpected. I just really like the fast lurkers. I really like the fast hydras, and maybe that's just like a one-trick pony thing. Like, he knows that wouldn't work again versus Classic, so he's not willing to do it. But seeing a macro game fail and seeing a cheesy game fail, it makes me think like that might just be the best way to go about it.
Maybe. It certainly is weird, and while there are other cheeses and all-ins available to Zerg, certainly that we've seen a lot more, like Ling-based ones, Ling-drop-based ones, even a typical Baneling busts kind of had its moment in the sunshine. It is probably just figured out by the Protosses. A lot of Protosses were dealing with it quite calmly after its time. But I think soO would just guess that Classic kind of onto that too. So Lings do get a scout. Speed even kicks in, so it might get a secondary scout.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things it reveals is that there's nothing in the main. And this sounds a little bit silly to say, but not even a pylon. So this is where, if he was going for something like Overlord drops, it would actually have a lot of power. Scouts back to the natural, sees Resonating Glaives, wants to poke at a probe. I mean, this Ling has certainly been annoying, but worth it.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because Ling's just darting into the front of the wall would have also seen everything they need to see, but yeah, that was definitely some assurance. Don't have to sacrifice the Overlord at all anymore, that I really would have had to been in the first place. And yeah, gonna respond with Banelings this time. Banelings would have been helpful last game, too, but, still would have been difficult to hold just based off his position from early pooling last game, but they really aren't the end-all, be-all against adept attacks. Splits are still pretty good, and if you just don't have enough Lings to follow up the Banelings, then you're still going to be in trouble. And Classic is looking to dedicate to this. I mean, not too many gateways, right? Like, not a 7-gate all-in, but he does have a proxy pylon already.
Yeah, it might be a slow warp in, but it's a warp in nonetheless. Banelings on the way, though, lots of Lings, and I don't think these first 3 Adepts will get that much done. But the fact that there's going to be Banelings, and the fact that there's going to be +1 with said Banelings, I'm feeling that soO might not die so easily this game.
He really shouldn't. I mean, there's a chance, especially since soO doesn't have any scouting on the 3rd bases, that he's wondering, like, oh, do I not have to be making units right now, and then stops a little bit short. But Classic isn't really trying to play, like, a very clever game, I guess. He'd just wait for a couple more Adepts, and that's just not a lot. And
Nice
they can't
round.
split. Oh, well, that was barely in time.
Yeah, losing the queens would be annoying, but as long as you don't lose too many of the drones, then defense is going to be fine. So I like that he is kind of ring around the rosy for the time being. Super annoying though, because he does know he's going to get transferred and pulled away every which way. Tries to get a surround on one of the adepts. Couple of shots into it, but up to 5, kill 6. See how much more he gets.
The real trick here is that Classic is making it work, despite, you know, a really great scout and soO supposedly having this automatic counter. If those banelings hit those clumped up adepts and like only 2 adepts are running around, they're cleaned up so quickly, and then a counterattack can happen, and third base is just not ready to take it. But because the adepts lived and ran around for some time, there's going to be a couple of gateways, there's going to be a pylon, warp-ins should be available again, and yeah, he's not going to get the third.
Just gotta be careful. There's so many sentries could catch him. Now, you did see the warp prism as you ran across the map. I don't know how long it'll take him to go back home. Looks like, yeah, he's got banelings ready for this. Overlord here just barely does not see the pylon, by the way, so he doesn't actually know about that proxy location. Right now, of course, all emphasis is going to be on the main piece of depths.
I was going to say, it might be totally worth to have either focus fire the banelings or have one adept soak up quite a few. But with the queen shooting with the warp prism, it was a little bit dangerous. Yeah. But soO did no damage to the lings on this side of the map, and that was the one major worry of using the adepts.
That was some awesome caveman speak.
He
no do it.
Is that what I said? I don't remember.
Yeah. He no do it good, no way.
Okay, well, it's a corner house.
Let's see. Round 2 comes into the fight. I agree though with what you're saying, by the way. Just kind of dropping out one adept to soak up banelings would certainly be worth it. But focus firing them down over the lings kind of works a little bit too. The army in the middle of the map, though, I mean, this isn't something he's going to easily push with, but this is 12 sentries. Oh my god, why are you doing so many slow warp-ins, dude? Why are you doing this? Okay, regardless of that, though, 12 sentries. Each of them has, like, over half energy, so there's going to be so many force fields available with this. Couple of garden shields pretty easily, and hell, the extra change to make hallucinations if he wants to. I mean, like, this sentry force is actually kind of terrifying in a lot of ways. Like, on one hand for soO to have to defend against this, but on the other, Classic, if he loses all these sentries, that's 1,200 gas gone.
Yeah. Misplaced force fields and 5 banelings roll in, and you're like, oh shit. But that ideally it's not going to happen, even though soO's trying to get us around. Banelings are on the back side, so these lings I actually don't even really like the surround of the only lings.
If he baits out the force fields on the back side, then it might work from the front side, right? But
there's still 15 more for the front. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. There's just so many sentries. I mean, nobody really goes this many sentries anymore, right? Like, seeing above 10 is crazy.
That is true. I still think like this is a crazy amount, but people are adding in more and more sentries against the baneling problem. So yeah, those lings at the backside just seem so useless.
Oh my god, the force fields are ridiculous.
Yeah, and this is a problem certainly on Belshir as well, just in general. It's this little ramp to third base, but he just had so many units anyway.
He just actually bullied out the whole army by pushing them back with force fields.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
I can't with what I'm seeing right now. Screw it, guys. ZvP Zimba. Fuck Protoss.
Yeah.
GG.
Yeah, that really did it for me. Protoss really is a plague upon this earth.
No, but all seriousness, congratulations to the Classic. He's going to be this week's Olimoleague champion. Of course, I think this is for the next month's Olimoleague set. The monthly finals from last month was supposed to play today, but so many people are in Katowice and not around, so I think that they swapped that up, kind of like what we've done with the Corsair Cups and the BTSLs. So I'm like 99% sure that Classic just earned points for next month's or this month's Marches, not February's. Good stumbling through that, Rifkin. Y'all did.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to close up the cast. So, again, it was a little bit shorter, not quite 4 hours or anything like that, but it was nice to be back casting after having a few days off. Again, we'll be gone for a couple more days, but we'll be back with the Ting Wildcard group. I don't know what time. I had originally planned to try and do it at our regular, like, early time, but on account of IEM's schedule, we may have to flip it a bit and do, like, an afternoon broadcast, which might be good, might be bad. The best way to know when we're going to do that, though, because our calendar is down, is to follow us on Twitter. So for me, at Riff_Kings. For Zombie Grub, it's at ZG Gaming. And we'll definitely be tweeting about this when we know more. Of course, follow the channel at BaseTradeTV as well, because that'll be where we retweet from. But we'll know a little bit later. Like I said, we're going to have a talk after the cast, lock down some schedule stuff, lock down some event stuff, and get caught up because I've been gone for the last few days. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up today. So thanks again for watching, everybody. Zombie up. Oh, there we go. There's little Apollo.
He hasn't been shown at all on this cast.
I'm so sad. I miss my cat. Kill me.
I'm sorry.
All right, I'll just live vicariously through you having Apollo. That's how I'll get my cat fixed. Anyways, any final words before we take off?
Right. Follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, Twitch, Zombie Grub, and YouTube. It's Zombie Grub.
Cool. And of course, I already did most of our shoutouts. Make sure you hit the follow button on the channel too, so you guys always come back for more StarCraft action. Other than that, we'll end the broadcast here with a couple of minutes of commercials. We'll find somebody awesome to host. The very last but not least thing is all the links down below for Corsair do link to affiliation links now. So if you guys buy anything through those links, if you're going to get any Corsair gear, it will give us a bit of cash back too. So consider buying through those links. But thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll be back in a couple days. Have a good one. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.